It's being called a fight over the future of the Republican Party. The Trump revolution now taking aim at some of the most deep-pocketed and influential names in right-leaning politics, the Koch brothers. Well, the Koch citing policy differences such as the president's stand on tariffs and the issue of immigration, and they're holding back on an endorsement in this key Senate race. Well, RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel sending this memo to donors, quote, "This week, the Koch network announced they will no longer support only Republicans running for office, and that moving forward, they will support candidates that fit their agenda, even if they're Democrats. Some groups who claim to support conservatives forego their commitment when they decide their business interests are more important than those of the country or party. This is unacceptable." Well, tonight, the Kochs are firing back, and RNC spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany is here to talk about all of it. Good to have you with us tonight. Okay, so later tonight, we are getting this letter that apparently went out from General Counsel at Koch Industries, and they say that the Koch network has never been an appendage of the Republican Party and is proud to hold elected officials accountable when they fall out of line, regardless of party identity.
Well, purportedly, the Koch brothers had cared about an ideology, whether they call it conservatism or libertarianism. Purportedly, they cared about that. And I would ask them in response to their statement, how does supporting Heidi Heitkamp, a Democrat out of North Dakota who opposed tax cuts, who opposed Obamacare repeal and replace, how does that advance conservatism or libertarianism? It simply does not.
But if they're withholding an endorsement there for the Republican, is that the same as endorsing Heidi Heitkamp?
Well, they put out a very flowery, friendly ad about Heidi Heitkamp, supporting her and some of her policies. Likewise, they have this entity called the Libre Initiative, where they have actively opposed Republicans, actively supported Democrats. And I would remind a nice warning from Bernie Sanders back in 2015. He said open borders are a scheme of the Koch brothers. So way back in 2015, the RNC understood that they're not beholden to conservatism. We are as a party. If you donate to the RNC, you're donating to Republicans. Not the case with the Koch brothers.
Okay, so another response from James Davis with the Koch network is saying this to Fox. He says, "We have a long-term commitment to unite around issues that will help people improve their lives. Just as we have in the past, we will work together with the president, elected officials, and others where we agree, and where we disagree, we will do so in a civil way. This is what it will take to make progress on the issues and ultimately create a society of mutual benefit where people succeed by helping others." So clearly, they're more about specific policies and issues and agendas than they are any partisan commitment. That's clearly going to be at odds with the RNC, which is never going to support anything but Republicans.
Right, and they're making that claim, and while that might sound nice on paper, we don't necessarily believe that at the RNC. Our chairwoman was rather clear that they're putting their business interest above their party's interest, above their ideology. The president said they're worried about being taxed overseas because the president has America First policies, bring that money and that wealth here to benefit United States citizens. This is about their business interests. It's not about politics. It's sad, but that's unfortunately what the Koch brothers have become.
Okay, so Rick Tyler, a very well-known GOP strategist, used to work for Ted Cruz. He said this: "The RNC distancing itself from the Kochs represents the Republican Party's repudiation of free market economics and its embrace of its new-founded identity as a political cult." He used the C word.
Yeah, Rick Tyler's been off base for quite some time. Certainly not a cult, and he's talking about free market economics, which is quite perplexing that the Koch brothers have positive ads out against people who voted for tax cuts, against people who have opposed free market economics every single step of the way. That's what the Koch brothers have done. So Rick Tyler might want to reanalyze his support of the Koch brothers and change his support to that of the Republican Party.
Dangerous for either party to rely too heavily on these really big-name donors, because we see Tom Steyer on the Democrat side. He's running ads constantly about impeachment. Estimates he's going to pour $110 million into left-leaning and progressive candidates and races this fall. But the Democratic Party often finds they don't exactly align with him either. So dangerous to throw in with either side where there's big money.
Shannon, you've hit the nail on the head, and that is at the heart of this issue. Way back in 2015, so back when Reince Priebus was the head of the RNC, we had a choice, and not to get too much in the weeds, but we had a choice to house our data inside the confines of the RNC or to export it to the Koch brothers, who had their own data network. Reince Priebus and others said, no, we can't rely on a billionaire to always support Republican candidates. We can only rely on our party. And we developed a $200 million data operation. Thank goodness we did not rely on the Koch brothers, who now don't support the president and don't support some Republican candidates.
Well, they say they want to work with him where they can. We saw his tweet this week, so we'll see how well that goes if they kiss and make up on and things that are important to both sides. Kayleigh, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Shannon.